Straight ahead on Valley News Live, heart transplants are a serious matter, and one Moorhead family knows all about it.
Plus, the death toll is continuing to rise after a horrific string of tornadoes made their way through the state.
And the Minneapolis Police Department is revamping some of their daily procedures. All that and more coming up.
This is Valley News Live at 6.
Thanks for tuning in to Valley News Live. Heart transplants are a serious matter, and one Moorhead teen knows all about it.
The Erickson family tells Valley News Team's Aaron Walling how a new heart represents a new chance.
Aaron Erickson loves to ride his bike, being active outside and enjoying life. On the outside, he looks like a healthy teenager, but on the inside, he is a walking miracle.
Rely on your doctors. Find a cardiologist that you trust. Find a team that you trust.
Erickson was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which caused the pumping chamber to ineffectively pump blood to the body. It had been a long battle for him. Eventually, Erickson had to get a new heart, and on November 7th last year, Aaron got a transplant.
It was surreal. For the first time in his life, he was 100% oxygen. It
was a special moment for the Ericksons when Aaron woke up. And when asked if he could feel his new heart, this was his response. He wrote, "I already did."
Remember how loud this new, all functioning, beautiful gift this new heart was, and just being in awe of holy cow, this happened and it's healthy and it's so strong.
This is what his old heart looked like compared to his new one. The Ericksons say the community's support, like the Battle of the Senses with NDSU, has been crucial for them.
The community has been great. Never expected as much support from the community as we've gotten through this whole journey.
And they can't wait for that snow to clear off so Aaron can get back on his bike.
And just knowing that he's going to be able to go farther and push it harder than he has been before, I'm so excited for. I'm probably more excited for it than what he is.
In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Aaron's next step is to have a few more tests done and then hopefully get back on his bike sooner rather than later. Now you can read more about this story as well as get push alerts to breaking news in our area by downloading the VNL News app. It's completely free. Just search VNL News in the App Store today.
Now we check in with First Alert Storm Team's Jim Gash on what April Fool's joke the weather is playing on us today. Jim, what's it looking like out there?
Well, right now things are looking very nice out there, but we're going to see some changes as we move into next week. But first, looking up in Devil's Lake, we see some mostly clear skies, just a couple of clouds for folks there, and we do have more snow on our way. In fact, one of the biggest storms of this year we're expecting in April. On Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when we have those first alert weather days, and a large Colorado low is taking aim at our area. And we're going to see some very significant impacts for travel. Depending on that track, we could see very high amounts of snowfall, and that will add additional weight to those roofs and could affect everyone across the area, including those newborn livestock as we're in that spring period. But first, looking at the satellite and radar right now, we have mostly clear skies, just a couple of clouds making their way through the Devil's Lake Basin and some very light flurries for folks up there along the international border. Now, we are still seeing a little bit of a breeze out of the south or southwest for folks in Lakes Country, blowing at about 10 to 15 miles an hour for most, though some places a little bit stronger and some places just a little bit weaker. Now, those temperatures out there, they're not all that bad. Still pretty far below average for this time of year, but warmer than what we're used to, especially recently. We've seen these temperatures today right around 30 degrees for most of us, though Bemidji sitting at 40 along with Baudette in the east. And we're looking at a couple rounds of snow, and by Sunday evening we can expect a lot of the northern valley to pick up about an inch, and some places out in the Devil's Lake Basin could see just a little bit more. Now guys, I'll have more information on what we can expect with that Sunday snowfall as well as that Tuesday, Wednesday big snowstorm on its way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jim. Well, former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender to authorities in New York on Tuesday following his indictment by a Manhattan grand jury.
Politicians have been speaking out, and Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar says she believes the indictment needs to run its course.
No one is above the law, and this is in the judicial process, and that has to play out.
As of now, there will be no plea deal, according to Trump's attorney. And at least 21 people have been confirmed dead after a series of tornadoes touched down in multiple states over the past 24 hours. From shopping centers to residential areas, the impact of the storms have been severe. One shopping center in particular had its roof completely ripped off and blown away, leaving debris flying around in the wind. Cars were also damaged and totaled as debris flew around, and the force of the winds even caused some vehicles to flip over.
Some are starting to share concern for the northern states after something known as a super pig. A super pig is a hybrid between a European wild boar and a domestic pig, and they're starting to be deemed, quote, the worst invasive large mammal on the planet. Due to their unusually large size, they're thriving in the cold Canadian winters and have even been spotted making their way into North Dakota. The concern over the pigs comes from the fact that they destroy water quality in some areas, as well as massive crop damage.
The city of Minneapolis and the Minnesota Department of Human Rights signed a court-enforceable settlement agreement on Friday in an attempt to revamp policing in the city where George Floyd was murdered by an officer nearly 3 years ago. Friday marked the culmination of about a year's worth of negotiations, and it comes after the city was sued over its policing practices. This agreement makes a number of changes on how police officers investigate crimes, and there is set to be more protocols to follow for stop searches and arrests, as well as new training and changes to the guidelines for uses of force. Now, local leaders say it's time to own up to the department's past mistakes and make changes for the future.
Well, the Nashville Predators were seen sporting patches of the Covenant School seal on their shoulders during Saturday's game against the St. Louis Blues, and the team says they will do so for the rest of the season to honor those affected by Monday's shooting, which killed 3 students and 3 staff members. Coaches and broadcasters from both sides were seen sporting red and white ribbons. There was also a moment of silence before the game in honor of those who lost their lives.
And well, while we just wrapped up some first alert weather days and we have a few more on the way, we're not the only ones seeing that heavy snowfall, as more than 8 inches of fresh snow fell in parts of Minneapolis overnight into this morning. Now, the National Weather Service said conditions would be pleasant today, but advised commuters in the area to be aware of snow-covered roads.
Tomorrow on Valley News Live, we hear from businesses who are clearing off roofs before another big storm comes through, and they tell VNL's Aaron Walling about why people need to get that done. Be sure to tune in tomorrow evening to hear all about it.
And still ahead, there's news that might be a little unsettling for those who enjoy drinking alcohol. We'll tell you more about that after the break.
And here in Fargo, Wisconsin, our temperatures remain fairly steady. Actually, our low for tomorrow is right at 2 a.m. at 22 degrees, and I'll have more information on what you can expect with that Sunday snow coming up next.